Fishin' Affliction. Hello.
Well, Mom and Dad's grab the kids, it's time for the fishing show. Me and old Rusty's gonna go catch 'em down at the fishing hole. Well, you better stick around, cause you don't know what you're missing. Yeah, me and old Rusty's got that fishing affliction. Grab your hats, grab your baits, don't forget your poles. We're gonna fire up that old Ranger boat and head to the fishing hole. We're gonna try to catch a biggin'. Yeah, that's what we're wishing. Cause me and old Rusty's got that fishing affliction. Yeah, me and old Rusty's got that fishing affliction. Yeah. Man, and we've got it bad.
Just like me. Here, fishy, fishy here, fishy, fishy here.
Well, rise and shine, folks. It's Fishing Affliction time, and thank you for being with us this morning time. Last week we were on Kentucky Lake with Stump Spencer, and that's where we are again this week. We're going to finish out that trip and show you the rest of the fish that we caught that great day fishing with Fishin' Affliction Prostaffer, Stump Spencer. And you just never know what you're going to catch on Kentucky Lake, including maybe a talking fish.
Hello, everybody.
You just made a mistake.
How are you? This is for you. This is for you, Lois. I just got through talking to you.
That's right. Well, after catching that talking fish for Lois, it was time to get back to some fishing and some flipping action. And the big dog and Stump knew right where to go.
They're big?
Pretty good one. Oh, you didn't know he was hitting.
Really?
That's a good solid fish. Well, let's just talk about the strength of Kentucky Lake. Because we come up here flipping, the bite wasn't happening deep. We come up here and just decided we'd flip, make a couple of flips up shallow. Had another 3-pounder on. You know, that's a good solid, what, 2 3/4 pound fish?
Yeah,
3 pound. Anyway, good solid fish, and that's just the strength of Kentucky Lake, man. You just fish everywhere, isn't it, Stump?
That's right.
Folks, the big dog and I love flipping a jig, and I sure enjoy watching the big dog flip it because he's just diddly with a jig in his hand, knows where to put it, and knows how to get him to the boat.
Well, not as big a fish, but another flipping fish. You know, I don't care what I'm catching doing this, man. I like it. And, you know, with all this high water we've had this year, you know, they have been on a flip and bite on about every lake around. There's been a few fish up shallow.
Well, folks, as you can see, the big dog took that jig and put a couple largemouth in the boat. But when he wasn't looking, I grabbed me a shallow running Strike King bait and made a couple casts in that shallow water.
He threw a crankbait. He did.
He switched to a crankbaiter.
I did, while you guys were freaking.
Goodbye, Mr. Largemouth. Are you catching any?
I'm trying my best. They making me work today. I ain't much on it working hard for them. Unless you have to.
Well, there's one. I'm gonna catch one over here now. I'm gonna participate.
Folks, watch what happens right after this. Rusty and Stump are on a prime spot, one of Stump's favorite places. And Stump is going to catch this here 3 1/4 pound fish. And as he's doing this, watch what happens to the big dog's pole, because he loads up with an absolute monster.
That's a nice fish. Strike King football head. That's all I've had on tied on this one jig all day long.
And guess what?
Yes, I may.
I got a pumper on, and I mean a thumper.
Well, hold on to you.
pretty nice in there.
Look, Dan. Oh my goodness.
What a tank.
See my hole?
What?
See my we've been here?
Dan.
That was a toad right there. I didn't know you had one. I thought you was just
I got the hook set.
Did you get the fish jumping?
Oh, I think I did.
Well, folks, sometimes out in the wild, your mind can play tricks on you, but I sure thought I got that fish jumping. So I went back and I slowed the film down and checked this out. Well, here's the big dog and Stump, and there's Stump with his good fish, and here's Rusty's biggin jumping out of the water and throwing that there jig. Pretty cool stuff from in the wild. And speaking of in the wild, let's go see some pictures from this week's
In the Wild. Your pictures in the wild.
Well, folks, sometimes in the wild is in your own backyard, and these precious pictures come to us from our dear friends Burl and Emma Wilson. This little bunny rabbit was born in Burl's backyard, and here it is just hiding in the grass, or thinking he is. Now the mom you're going to see right here, she gave birth to the bunnies in the backyard, and Burl had to go out there and protect them from the dog that uses the backyard just like all our dogs do. So now Burl and Emma have now adopted a baby bunny and a deer. That's right. Not only do they have the bunnies, but they have deer in the backyard. These are great pictures. Thank you so much for sending them, Burl. Folks, send your pictures into pics@fishandaffliction.com and you'll see them right here.
In the wild. Your pictures in the wild.
It's kind of like this, all over, like that. Maybe kind of like if you kind of steady, and if you pop it a little bit, you know.
There's no way I'm going to do that.
I believe it's like this. Yeah, it's kind of like this. It's like this. Then it's going like this.
No way.
Kind of like this.
The sexy swimmer, it's got action you can't believe until you see it.
I'm kind of liking this.
Got it bad. Want it bad.
Folks, if you've got it bad and you want it bad, you can own any episode of Fishin' Affliction for just a low price of $5. That's right, $5 for any of your favorite Fishin' Affliction episodes. And if you want them all, then we've got a great offer for you. The entire season 1 of Fishin' Affliction for only $19.95 plus shipping and handling. That's right, folks, all 13 episodes of season 1 of Fishin' Affliction for just $19.95 in a beautiful packaged DVD box set for only $19.95. Unbelievable, folks. To purchase this great deal or any individual show of Fishin' Affliction, go to our website at www.fishandaffliction.com to the online store for this incredible offer. Any individual show for only $5 or the entire season 1 of Fishin' Affliction for just $19.95. Fishin' Affliction for those who've got it bad. Folks, welcome back to Fishin' Affliction, and this portion of the show is brought to you by Kistler Rods. Fishing never felt so good. And the fish are starting to bite on those Kistler rods on Kentucky Lake, using those Strike King football head jigs, fishing the drops.
On the football jig. I tell you, man, we varied our techniques a little bit today. You know, sometimes they want a little hop, they want a little, you know, shaking the bait a little bit. Sometimes you're just lifting the bait like you would a worm, and it's been a little different all day long. Just whatever you can do to generate a bite. There you go.
That's a keeper.
It's a good chunky keeper. Oh, behind you. Yep. Good chunky.
He would never go off for 3 years.
I know. I wish I'd hung that big one a minute ago like that. Something about them big ones, they like to jump 3 feet in the air for some reason.
Get him down. Barely hung.
There you go.
Hey.
How about that?
Hey, good job, Dan.
Back of the boat jig fish. Later in the day, still going strong, big dog.
Yep.
Folks, on this week's Fishing 101, we're going to talk about these great Strike King football head jigs and some of the effective presentations to help you fish that jig.
In It's time for Fishin' 101, brought to you by Deca Batteries.
Well, folks, the best way for me to talk about these Strike King football head jigs is to actually show you two different styles of presentation. Now, Stump, who's up front there, his presentation outfished mine 10-1, and I was swinging and missing quite a bit of the time, almost knocking myself out of the boat. Stump just has a touch with this jig, and I wanted to get up there in the front of the boat with him and just see a master at work. And folks, when you have the blessed opportunity to fish with a legend like Stump Spencer, there's so much information you're getting from this man who spent countless hours on waters like Kentucky Lake and Pickwick, Old Hickory, just everywhere across the United States and even in other parts of the world. He's gone to South America for peacock bass, and he's been to Mexico and has a 13-plus pound largemouth on his wall. Stump Spencer knows how to catch fish, and there's no doubt he knows how to fish these Strike King football head jigs. And his presentation, folks, is extremely subtle. The translation from his hands to the jig is just slight, small movements, and it is unbelievably effective. So, two things to remember. Number one, get that Strike King football head jig, present it real subtly, start off trying it that way, and adjust from there. And the second thing is make sure that you call Stump Spencer and you go out stump fishing with his guide service, because it's just a great time to be out there with him. So much knowledge you're going to learn. We're going to put his information back up at the end of the show, and be sure to tell him that you saw him here on Fishin' Affliction, and you might want to tell him that you saw him miss one right there too. Sorry, Stump, the big dog wanted me to tease you just a little bit. Well, folks, let's get back to some great Kentucky Lake bass fishing with Stump Spencer, the big dog, and myself.
Oh, there you go. And there you go. The Stump Spencer show.
This one's for you, Billy Church. Wish you was here.
Another jig fish.
Well, folks, if you haven't noticed, the big dog is in the back of the boat, and I'm up front with Stump. And I knew that wasn't going to last long when Stump started catching these fish, and I'd have to go on back there and grab the camera and film those two guys catching two fish at a time.
Right here. This is a big fish. This is a big fish. Well, I thought he was a lot bigger than that. I just ain't caught one on a red eye in so long.
Well, folks, there's something else you might have noticed, that here on Fishin' Affliction, when the big dog gets a bite, it's always a big one. Or at least he thinks it is. Folks, there's nothing like having some fun with your dear friends out on the lake, catching some fish, and getting to have a little chuckle every now and then, at the other's expense.
Well,
He's tangled up.
he's a big one for me. How's that?
Well, after the big dog's big old largemouth, it was time for Stump to catch us a real good fish.
Ooh, he got that jig.
Jeez.
Good job, big dog.
Look at him, he got his mouth closed. Strike King football. 3/4 ounce.
A good solid fish, brother
Nice
Stump.
fish. Nice
I
fish.
tell you, we've had some good. It's been a slow day for Kentucky Lake. It's been a, or it's been a slow day for us. Now I know there's fish being caught, but I mean, we had on that great big fish. He jumped and got off, and then we've had several other pretty solid fish. But all in all, we've had a pretty good sack today.
Yeah, we've had 20.
Yeah, right at 20 pounds.
Maybe 22. 22 pounds.
But
Make sure we're making this work for them more.
yeah, I mean, we've done it most of the day. It's getting closer to 5 o'clock right now.
Thank you, Lord.
Yeah, thank you, Lord. That was a good one. I throwed that daggum 3/4 ounce, let it fall down there, and one hammered it. And right as soon as he did that, I throwed exactly back where he hung that. There's you another toad, Stump.
A toad sickle.
Well,
Another Totus erotus.
Well, after catching a few more fish, we had to say goodbye to Stump because he had to get on to church. What another great day with Fishin' Affliction Prostaff for Stump Spencer. But the big dog and I, well, we weren't done yet.
goodbye, my buddy.
Goodbye. See you. I had a lovely time.
I loved it, yeah. Well, I appreciate it. And, man, it's just too early for me to quit.
Well, I got to go in and go to church.
Yeah, well, that's
I'm
good.
glad I'd be staying with you.
Yeah, well, appreciate it. We'll be seeing you again, man. Appreciate you.
All right.
You know, your time and effort and everything today. And I appreciate you catching all them fish that you didn't let me catch. More than
well,
anything.
it seems like we caught about the same amount, but the time before, it seems like I only caught 2.
Well, that's fishing.
Enjoyed it.
Take care, Stump.
Have a good day.
Well, folks, here's that information on Stump's guide service. Be sure to call him because you are in for a day fishing with a legend. He is awesome to spend the time on the water with. Well, we'll be back in just a few more minutes with some more great fishing action. But first, let's go see what Miss Vicki Porter's cooking this week. In the Skillet with Chef Vicki Porter is brought to you by Pt.2, turning your precious memories into video treasures.
Welcome to In the Skillet. I'm Vicki Porter, and I know a lot of our viewers out there have their own vegetable gardens this summer. I'm going to show you a wonderful recipe for those homegrown tomatoes, my Caprese Salad. And now for the ingredients. You will need sliced tomatoes, fresh mozzarella cheese, 2 tablespoons of chopped fresh basil, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar, and salt and pepper to taste. In a bowl, mix together the olive oil and the balsamic vinegar. Next, layer the tomato slices and the mozzarella. Next, sprinkle the basil over the top. Then you will drizzle on the balsamic vinegar and olive oil. Your homegrown tomatoes will never taste any better than in this Caprese salad. You can find this recipe at FishinAffliction.com. I'm Vicki Porter. Tune in next week to see what's cooking in the skillet.
Hey, what do you think about these? Shaw Grigsby likes these, but Denny Brower looks awesome in these. You know, a lot of people don't know that Strike King is the #1 importer of packaged polarized sunglasses in the whole entire country. I've seen Mark Davis wear these, and I like them a lot. They're awesome. But you know what? Me, I have got to have my monsters.
Tournament Trail for those who've got it bad. Brought to you by Fishin' Affliction.
Folks, here's this week's results from Flipper's Bull Creek Tournament up there in Gallatin, Tennessee. First place went to the team of Womack and Womack with 17.55 pounds. Second place, well, we had a tie. 12.95 pounds was caught by both the teams of Hopkins and Canaday and Holland and Holland. First big fish, 5.10 pounds, Mr. Gary Klaus, and second big fish to Mr. Josh Womack, which weighed 4.90 pounds. Fishin' Affliction would like to thank Flippers and congratulate all the winners. And folks, you can send your tournament results to info@FishinAffliction.com and be sure to check out our tournament archives at www.FishinAffliction.com. Well, folks, after we dropped off Stump at the ramp so he could go on to church, the big dog and I, well, we just couldn't bring ourselves to leave Kentucky Lake. So we just went on around the corner to do some more fishing. This time concentrating on that flooded timber that we had seen a little earlier and hoping we could get on a good jig bite.
Let him stay down and wear himself out. I've lost so many here lately. There's a good one. That's a big old fish. That's a big one. That gum. She cut me to pieces. That's a big old fish. Woo! Big old sow right there, buddy. I tell you, you just never know about this lake right here. You just never know where they're going to come from out here.
Well, folks, as you can kind of tell, the big dog is tired, and I want to share with you why. On this particular trip, we left the Nashville area just about 3 o'clock in the morning to meet Stump down here at Kentucky Lake at a little after 5. And right now, as you're watching the big dog fish, we've been on the water in the heat for about 13 and a half hours. And we're not done yet. But I'll tell you what, folks, we wouldn't change it for the world. We're still having fun, and we're still catching fish.
That sucker throwed my bait. Another good solid chunk. Oh man. That one's got a mouth like a salmon. Look at that little thing he's got on his mouth right there. Another good solid keeper. That one hit right at the boat. Rode my trailer, man. I got to get another trailer. But we still got several brush piles to go. That means we ought to catch another. Another little fish. Another little bass. Well, not a giant, but I flipped that bush about 5 times before he hit.
Folks, I want to emphasize a little something that Rusty's touching on. One of the things that he is really determined to do, and that's really fish until the very last cast. And we are dead tired. We've been up and at it, and I can't begin to tell you, when you spend 14, 15 hours on the water in the heat, you just get tired. And that last fish that Rusty caught, it was interesting. I had made a couple casts to the bush that he ended up catching that fish on, and he made 5 or 6 casts to that bush and caught that fish. Now, although that wasn't a giant fish, there's a point to what I'm saying. Fishing until the very last cast is over. And I mean fishing hard, if that's what you set out to do that day. And that's what we go to do, because obviously if you're going to have a show such as Fishin' Affliction, one thing that you all want to see is fish, and we do too. And there are days out there, folks, where we get into them good, and then there's days that you just have a long day catching what you catch. But all in all, it's always a blessing to be on the water, to get to see the things that you get to see, to learn things from people like the big dog, Rusty Rust, and also Stump Spencer. It's just a great, great opportunity to spend time doing something that you love and enjoying a few fish as a result of the fruits of your efforts. Nice jig, big dog.
Is that a good one?
Nice one.
Here you go, Brother Dan.
You know, you just have to know catching them on the jig. Isn't that the funnest thing? This one here is good.
Well, we have had fun the last month doing it, I'll tell you that.
Boy, this one's mouth is just been caught before, but I'll tell you what, that's a beautiful fish. Getting back in the water.
Yeah, let's catch another one on the big jig.
Let's do it.
Not a bad fish. Well, eating Mr. Jig, eating Mr. Jig, eating Mr. Jig. Man, these old buck bushes, man, on Kentucky Lake, they've got a lot of depth around them right now, and that really helps as far as this flipping bite. You know, you get, you know, where the water drops down on them, it makes the fish skittish. It's real easy to spook them. You just don't, you know, you just don't catch them like you would with the water up. But right now, it's at about an absolute perfect level for the flipping bite. There's a lot of foliage on the bushes, which gives the fish a lot of daggum dark spots to get in there, little cooler spots to get in. Gives them an excellent ambush point for the minnows, things like that. And I'm gonna tell you, man, it is fun catching them on a flipping stick.
Well, folks, it is time for us to get on to the house. It has been a great day out here with the big dog and Fishin' Affliction Pro staffer, Stump Spencer. And we sincerely appreciate you watching our shows. And here is something that was just breathtaking to both Rusty and myself, this beautiful sunset on Kentucky Lake. What a great ending to a great day. And we just appreciate you all watching the show. Next week, we're going to be with the old man of the river down there at Nickajack, Mr. Charles. So tune in when you hear me say,
"Hey, big dog, is that a good fish?"
That's a good fish, man. That's a good chunk. All of them were good chunks you caught.
Folks, thank you so much for tuning in this week to Fishin' Affliction. We sincerely appreciate your time. And thank you so much to our sponsors as they keep us going. Be sure to tune in next week to Fishin' Affliction, because there's no doubt.
Yeah, me and old Rusty's got that Fishin' Affliction. Grab your hats, grab your baits, don't forget your poles. We're gonna fire up that old Ranger boat and head to the fishing hole. We're gonna try to catch a biggin', yeah, that's what we're wishing. Cause me and old Rusty's got that Fishin' Affliction. Yeah, me and old Rusty's got that Fishin' Affliction. Yeah. Man, and we've got it bad.
Rusty's catching today.
I'll bet you anything.
Here, watch
You'll hit a strike king bait. Let's go.
Ain't nothing safe around me.